Okay, so we have our linings now together. We've sewed both ends or both sides. And there's our opening for the top. But now this is why I told you to make these lines so that you can see them permanently, because we have to fold these again to box our corners.
Just like you did the original,
Right.
the outside. Okay.
Right. So this is going to be done. And again, you're going to line up. And you can see even here when I'm lining up my lines, it doesn't go perfect.
Sure.
But you want to try to line those up as best you can.
Oh, that's kind of hard to see because
It's
of the
hard to see
black.
because of the black. And you just have to keep kind of working it. Because this is a point here. So sometimes I'll stick a pin here. And I'll work over to this other edge where it becomes a square over here.
Uh-huh.
And I'll kind of work here. And I'll put a pin here. Okay, so that's held there. And then I'm going to keep kind of working that. So I've got my triangle.
Okay.
And now I'm going to check my pins again. And if you have to fudge here, you have to fudge. That's...
Technically, I'm there 8.5 hours. I work 7 to 3:30. And so I do go out and lunch, but there's so many times.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not
This
bad.
is fine.
Yeah.
This will be fine here for my stitching. I'm going to do the exact same thing over here.
Okay.
And again, this is why you want to have your markings that you've made for your lining. It's on the wrong side. You want those as permanent as possible because you do have to refer to these points.
Okay.
And again, we're getting this ready to sew. Match them up and sew. So, flipping away from that, I've got one here that I've already done.
Oh, yeah.
This is for the small size that we just finished here.
Okay.
Okay. So now I've got these two little things sewn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am going to trim these to 1/4 of an inch. And I forgot my lovely face covering here.
That's okay. I was far enough away.
Trim here.
Yeah.
The first time she accomplished she ran out on the back
So this is done.
All right.
Now, remember we used our handy dandy little
Chopstick.
chopstick, and I'm
Yeah.
going to point out those corners. Now, I've also given this a press on each
Oh,
of
okay.
those lines. Remember what I was
Yes.
saying? Keep those lines. Those lines are important. You want those because what you're doing is we're getting ready to put this together.
Okay.
So I'm matching.
Yes.
I'm matching my center seams,
Uh-huh.
and I just put that in the wrong direction. So I'm matching these seams up.
Okay. That
Center
seam
seams?
right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm matching these seams.
Okay.
I can find it. It's black and it's hard to see.
Yes, it is.
And this center seam.
Okay.
And then I'm going to keep poking into these corners. I'm going to take my finger and poke that lining into the corners. Okay. So this should fit fairly snug on that inside.
Okay.
And that reason that you sewed that lining at 5/8 rather than a half like you did the exterior is to help make that lining be snug so it doesn't look sloppy on the inside.
And that way it's not going to fall away from the wall of the
Right, you want it to
outside
be, you want it to just look as nice as possible.
Sure.
So now I'm going to come and I'm going to fold this over.
Oh, cute.
So it's like a faux binding.
Yes.
And I'm going to keep doing that. And I have to adjust a little bit because, let's face it, it's fabric. There's some give.
Sure.
And you just
how
keep,
cute.
you just keep working
How cute.
these edges.
Nice.
So once I get this worked, and it's okay to pull this.
Okay.
Okay, it's not like when you're put on a quilt situation where if you pull something you're going to be stretching on a bias and it's going to be a problem.
Uh-huh.
In this particular case, and in bags, you do just keep working them.
Okay.
Okay. So now that I've got that pretty well worked around, okay, I'm gonna do a quick measure around.
You're trying to make sure that it is
I want it
pretty
to
much
be, I
the
want
same.
it as even as I can.
Sure.
And what I do is I measure all the way around, and the pattern says that it's going to overlap a half inch.
Mm-hmm.
I say it overlaps 3/4 of an inch because remember, we're going around the inside. We're
Yes.
on the inside, not the outside. So that extra 1/4 inch of fabric that we've gained is because of the exterior. So to me, that 3/4 inch is a more accurate depiction
Okay.
of what that binding size is. And now I'm going to place as many of these Wonder
gonna-
clips as I need.
You're going to sew it.
And
now,
I'm going to be
right?
sewing this down.
Okay. So you have it almost clipped all the way
Almost
around.
all the way done clipping. I'm just checking to make sure I'm as close to 3/4 of an inch all the way around. And we're going to be ready to stitch this in place. And it's easiest to do this if you remember to do it with a free arm. If your sewing machine has a free arm,
Yeah.
you take the time to remove. I forget about this, that if a free arm in my world doesn't even exist, because I learned how to sew on a sewing machine that did not have a free arm. So I just struggle, and then it's like, why did I do that? I would have so much better control of my sewing and a much more accurate stitching and a really nicer product if I would just use my free arm. And again, in this situation, this is the smaller bag.
Mm-hmm.
So I could stand to, I still have to stretch this a little bit to
Sure.
take
I see
advantage
that.
of that free arm, but you know, it's not the end of the world. I can make that work. So I just have to make sure my stitch is in the right place. And again, you want to stitch this at a 3mm
Mm-hmm.
stitch length. And you can you don't have to secure your thread. You can secure it at the other end. And because this is a snug fit, I do need to sew very slow, and I can see where it already kind of, I don't like the way that is. I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to start over. And I'm going to be sewing very slow so I can maintain this stitch width
Yeah, because you're going to have to
as
be
best as
tugging
I can
and
do.
pulling,
Yeah,
aren't
because I'm
you?
going to have to do a little bit of negotiation, but less than if I was trying to do this completely flat. So again, and then here is why I said not to trim that, because I want to make sure that that seam allowance is not showing out, not peeking out here, but
Sure.
it's secure, so I can make sure that doesn't pop out
Okay.
as I stitch. Alright, so here we are. We've just finished stitching this in place. I don't have the best job that I've ever done on this binding, but it's okay. That's why you match your thread with this black thread, and besides it's going to be full, so people aren't going to pick it up and look at it, so
Right.
it'll be fine.
I think it's adorable. I really do.
So happy sewing, happy St. Patrick's Day.
All right. Well, thank you, Kathy. I so appreciate it, and I know all of the guild members are going to appreciate what you've done. You've gone to so much work, and this is going to be a great video. All right. Thank you. We'll see you all this Thursday night. All right. Bye.